We're moving on to our next presentation in 5 hours. I'm not even sure what hour this is. I'm taking over as your host. It's my pleasure. And we've got Kevin from Impact. This is going to be good. Buckle up. Here we go. It continues. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Ashley. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Ashley Segura. I'm co-founder of Top Hat Content. I've been in the content realm for about 9 years now, doing everything from audits to creation, optimization, and everything that surrounds content. And so I'm super happy to be here, hear Kevin's presentation, and add to it.
Thank you for joining us. And our presenter for this next 30 minutes, Kevin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Kevin Phillips, the lead content consultant here at Impact. And really what I do is I work with our clients on how they can create content themselves to get to the first page of Google and grow their business and their digital footprint.
Perfect.
And today, one of the topics I want to bring up is one of my favorite topics, which is how to put your content to work immediately after publishing. So I don't know if are we waiting on any other panelists or?
I think considering time and considering the attendees, let's jump right in.
All right. Let me see, do a quick screen share here, and we'll probably have a minute where we just see our faces duplicated a whole bunch. All right. Tell me, are you seeing desktop or just Google Doc?
I see your desktop. Yep.
All right, let me go ahead and throw this into presenter mode real quick.
Looking good.
Still with me?
We're right here. Looks great.
All right, cool. So yeah, what I want to talk about today is how to put your content to work immediately after publishing. I already kind of gave you the quick breakdown, but I'm Kevin Phillips. I work at Impact. I'm the lead content trainer. I have trained over 100 content managers. I once grew a website's traffic about 16,000% from about 2,500 visitors traveling to it a month to over 400,000. And personally, I just love blog articles that get results. Oh, and here you go. And I have 3 amazingly insane kids that treat me like a jungle gym all the time. Yeah, 6 years old, almost 4 years old, and 10 months old.
Hang on tight.
All right. So one of my big questions for the audience is, after you publish an article, how do you get it in front of your audience? Okay, a couple of the common ways people do is SEO optimization, right? So we work on the piece of content, we optimize it fully for SEO. We have a full, well-written answer. It's got headers, it's got links, it's got a great title, it's got a great URL, it's got a great meta description. But then what do we have to do? We kind of often have to sit and wait several months for this thing to make it to the first page of Google, which I still love doing that because a lot of this content has staying power and you're going to be getting traffic for potentially years to come, but it doesn't get to work right away. So some of the other things we might do is we might send out an email blast. We might have a newsletter that promotes our articles, or every time we publish one, we might send it out to our audience already. And that's also great, but we're also connecting with our current audience already. People have already engaged with us. How do we get that to reach new people? Well, we might do organic social posting. But as we all know, that's kind of declined a lot in what your reach is, right? So you put something up on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you're going to get a little bit of hit, but you're not going to get a ton of traffic from it unless you do paid social posting. So you boost it or you promote it in some way, and then that's going to get it in front of a larger audience. But that also costs money. Another popular method is to do guest posting. Reach out to other businesses within your network, see if you can do guest posts on there, and hopefully, through that, you drive them back to your original piece of content that you published. And you can always do the backlink request where you reach out to other people in your network or websites you haven't connected with before, and you ask them, hey, could you please link to this piece of content? And you describe the value and why they should link to it. And it's kind of a hit or miss thing. I mean, I get emails like this all the time. And unless they are really impactful and they really are, stroking my ego maybe and telling me why they liked my article and why they really think that their article is a great addition to mine, they often get unnoticed.
Yep. So true.
So is there a better, faster, more efficient way we can be doing this? And what we have here to Impact is we teach our clients assignment selling. So real quick, assignment selling is the process of intentionally using educational content you have created about your products and services to resolve the major concerns and answer the burning questions of prospects so they are much more prepared for a sales appointment. So I'll give you a real quick recap of where this came from. This came from one of our partners here at Impact, Marcus Sheridan, and he owned a pool company. And maybe you guys are already familiar with this guy's story because he has spoken at a lot of inbound events and conferences all over the world. But when he would be going out on sales appointments for in-ground swimming pools, he noticed that there was two groups of people, those people that ultimately bought from him and those that didn't. So when he dove in a little bit further and was like, what is the difference really between these two groups, the people that made the purchase and the people that did not, even after having me come out for a sales appointment, he noticed a magic number. About 80% of the people that ultimately bought a pool from him had read over 30 pages of his website. They were highly informed. They were highly educated. They knew the ins and outs of a fiberglass pool. And in short, when he would show up on these sales calls, when he would meet with them, they already knew exactly what they wanted because they were that informed. So he started thinking to himself, how can I make sure more of these people are just as informed as this group? So he started saying, I'm not going to go out on sales calls unless people read some content ahead of time. I want them to watch a video on what the installation process for an in-ground fiberglass pool is. And I want them to read everything that they're going to need to know. What is a fiberglass pool? How does it compare to vinyl liner pools? How much does it cost? What are the different accessories and that you might want to add to your package? And then he found that once he was having people do assignment selling, reading these pieces of content ahead of time, his closing rates were going up dramatically. So how can you get the most out of doing assignment selling? Well, it starts with participation from sales and subject matter experts. We need to get the people that know these products and services better than anyone else to help us with the content. So why should you enlist sales and subject matter experts to participate in content creation? Well, in a lot of cases, when I work with different clients, it's the marketing team and the brand team are the ones that are in charge of the content calendar, and they don't have a lot of input from sales. And that's problematic because sales, they understand the most pressing questions prospect asks. They're the ones that are on the phone every day, get asking the same questions over and over, and they are probably getting sick and tired of having their same stock answer that they're having to repeat over and over.
Yep.
And again, they know it better than anyone else. They answer every single day. And what we can actually do is we can anticipate the prospect's questions ahead of time by answering them in emails before we even have these sales appointments. So how can the sales and the subject matter experts participate in this? So first thing to do is ask sales to identify the 80% questions. And what that is on any given sales call, they know that they're going to get asked certain questions. They've heard them every single time. So what are those questions that they get asked about 80% of the time? If they're going to jump on a call and you say, what do you think this guy's going to ask you about making the sale? And they're going to rattle off a couple of different questions. Those are your 80% questions. Those are the questions those prospects need answers to before they buy your product or service. From there, we want to focus on the BOFU content too. We want to focus on things that are going to help people ultimately make a purchase. We don't want that fluffy stuff at the top that's meant to get people in the funnel. We want those hard-hitting questions. And here at Impact, we talk a lot about the big five, and those are cost questions. How much does this thing cost ultimately? Or at least how can I get a range of prices? And what are some factors that would drive it up or down? How does this product or service compare to others in its class? What are some of the problems with the product or service? People do not want buyer's remorse, so they're going to do a lot of research while they are ultimately making a decision. And one of the things they're going to know is, talk me out of it a little bit. What are some of those things I might experience that might not go well with it? They're going to want to look at reviews as well. So focus on the bottom of the funnel content and the 80% questions that are really going to answer the most pressing stuff that's actually going to help get them over the finish line. You can also get sales and subject matter experts to participate in the creation of content too. And this can be really valuable instead of the marketing team having to do all the research and all the writing themselves. If you have a salesperson that loves to write, get them to write the content because then they're using their voice. They're the ones connecting with the audience. And if a salesperson is able to say, hey, I want you to read this piece of content that I wrote, it's going to have much more impact with that audience.
Makes sense.
If they're not good writers, have them help you develop the outline. Like, what are the major bullet points that we need to go over in these contents for people to understand? And what are the key points of information? And at least be available for interviews. Let your marketing team interview you so they can extrapolate the most important information without having to find it out from other sources that are outside of our own organization. Then we're going to get into this a little bit more. You want to create a repository of content. Where can the sales team access all these answers so they can quickly and easily grab it and be able to share it with the prospects? And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to have sales proactively send the content to prospects ahead of time. So we've even had some of our own sales team let prospects know ahead of time that, hey, we want you to read these articles. We want you to watch this video. And if you do not have time to do those things before we have this call, we're going to have to reschedule it.
That takes guts. Yeah, I like this. Yeah.
But they're prepared. And then, your 10-minute free phone call or whatnot, your quick consultation always goes over if they're not already educated ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can also use it reactively to follow up with prospects rather than send those emails that are like, hey, just checking in. Have you checked out my proposal yet? Just checking in. Just wanted to check in. Follow up with real value. Say, hey, you know what? On that phone call, you asked me a question about this and it got me thinking. I want you to check out this piece of content here that I think is really going to answer that question. So give them real value in your follow-up emails. All right, so how do you keep track of assignment selling content? Well, we've got a couple of different methods. Create a spreadsheet, and it can rudely look like this. So this is one that we used at the beginning, and we have I've got a template you guys can download at the end. But something that breaks down all your services, right? So if you see in the left column, this is impacts. This is all the major services we have in the left column. Then you can see column 2 is assignment selling article 1, column 3, assignment selling article 2, assignment selling article 3. We know that if you are going to request a custom website redesign project, what are the most important things that you need to read before you have that sales call? Mm-hmm. And it would be, the website 6, key characteristics of the perfect inbound website, examples of perfect inbound websites. And then even a back-end demo that shows how easy it is to edit pages, content, and spin up new pages. Mm-hmm. So our salespeople use this like their own little sales Bible right here. They know anytime they're going to jump on one of these conversations, what are some of the major key points, pieces of content that we can send people ahead of time. All right, Learning Center. Learning Center is another great way to keep track of content. And what's cool about Learning Centers is it's not just for your sales team. This is how prospects that come to your website can also navigate and find things that they want on their own. And this one comes from Aquila Commercial. They are a commercial real estate company out of Austin, Texas. And you can see what they have is they have a search bar. You can easily, salesperson or a prospect or just a website visitor can search for anything they want and see if we have information on the website. We also have different filters. Like we can say, hey, if you're just a tenant, you might want to see the content that relates just to you or to the person you're speaking to. Owners, investors, different resources. And lately, they even added a COVID-19 resource center. A couple of the major topics, so you can quickly filter by important topics and even content type. Do we want to send them videos? Do we want to send them articles? Or do we want to send them other resources? Pillar content. I'm sure, hopefully you guys are familiar with pillar content, but really this is just an ultimate guide to everything you need to know about it. This comes from a piece of content we have. It was a combination of probably 10 to 12 different articles all around website redesign, pushed together into one 10,000 word plus ultimate guide. So we don't have to send them tons and tons of different pieces of content. This is just the one catch-all definitive guide to everything you know about website redesign. And then also you can have downloadable guides, which in a lot of cases these days are your pillar content, maybe thrown with a little gate in front of it, where you got to get the email out in front. And this is a metal roofing buyer's guide from deck to finish. You can see they got a cool little video to tell you about the value of this ebook and why you should download it, and then a short form to fill out before you get it. Mm-hmm. All right. So how can sales use content in their sales process? Well, I kind of already alluded to it before, but be proactive about it. Before you have the sales call, say, hey, this is the things you're going to need to do before we have that call. And if you're not able to do it, let's go ahead and reschedule. And here's one that comes from Mariah Anderson. She used to be that first person. If someone filled out a form on our website requesting any kind of service, she would send them a quick, she would have a quick 5-minute call to figure out which salesperson was the right match for them. Then she would follow up immediately with this message. It said, hey, it was great to meet you. Includes a video, which I think everybody should always include videos in emails, especially if it's that first point of contact you're having with them. Below are articles to read, website blueprint strategy, 6 characteristics of perfect inbound website, success stories. And she even says, as I mentioned in the video, if you're not able to read the articles I included prior to your call with Jenna, let me know, as we're going to need to reschedule, because it is that important that you check these pieces of content out. So you will have those answers preloaded. And you can do it reactively as well. And I was actually on a prospecting call not too long ago. They pulled me in to see if someone was a good fit to work with one of my trainers here. And after listening to them talk, I really didn't think that the services they were requesting were right for them. So our salesperson was able to immediately follow up and say, hey, after having that quick call with you, we realized that maybe these are some of the things you should be checking out instead. We think maybe you need to have an inbound culture workshop. And here's some more information on what should be covered in an inbound culture workshop. And here's some other resources you can have too. All right. So I wanted to keep this under 15 minutes. I know it's a lot of information that I just kind of rapid fired was yelling into the camera. So I apologize to you guys. So I have a whole bunch of resources here. If you download the slide deck later, we got what is assignment selling. That's going to break it down a little bit more. 5 common assignment selling mistakes, 5 real life examples of assignment selling an interview with a salesman, making a sales call in the age of assignment selling, how assignment selling has made me a better salesperson. And if you want, there's an assignment selling spreadsheet that you can use yourself to start using in your organization. And that's what I got there, Andy.
Awesome, Kevin. Thank you. Hey, we got a quick question. You didn't touch on it. And I'm not sure if it's calendar driven, but Jiten the Car asks, is it possible to share some examples of a content calendar? Is this even calendar based or it's just on demand?
Sorry, I just needed a drink of water real quick. Well, it definitely adds to your calendar, but it's not part of it. It's not calendar specific. But as you are working with the marketing team is like, what are we going to write about? It always helps to get sales involved. Like ask them, what would help you in your job? What could I write that's going to help you close, some sales? What is the content that your prospects are asking that we don't have the answers to already online? So working cohesively with them. I knew I was probably going to run close to overtime, so I didn't include some of the case study stuff, but I was recently talking with a client who they've been crushing it for a long time with content. Their metrics going up and up and up, but there had always been a disconnect between marketing and the sales team. So they started implementing assignment selling. And he said one of the biggest benefits, aside from closing, more deals and things like that, was really about the relationship between marketing and sales has gotten so much better that they are actually working like as a cohesive unit because sales knows what marketing is working on. Marketing knows what sales needs.
Yeah. That sounds like, I see Ashley nodding her head. Does that feel right to you?
Yeah, that's pretty much one of the first places I start with a new client and on the intake form is who's someone from your customer success or sales team that I can talk to go over questions. Mm-hmm. To echo what Kevin's point was, that's where most of your first round of content pieces should be. Those are your evergreen pieces. So the content calendar isn't necessary for this kind of style, but these pieces, just because they're evergreen and you've talked to the sales team or customer success team once, doesn't mean they never get updated. This is something that you should usually go back on a quarterly basis and revisit the person that you talked to or someone else from that department and say, has anything new come up? Have you guys changed how you're responding? Are there new questions that are coming up? This isn't a one and done type of thing, like Kevin was saying.
Yeah, because the demands of the people in the bottom of your funnel will change, as this time shows us now. For sure, things change.
Oh yeah.
Vahe, what do you
100%.
think?
I think that's definitely the case. And I think having CRM solution like HubSpot, for example, or many of those other tools where you can see those conversations, where you can see that tracking, that user journey as well, can really help validate that from a data point of view as well. And even from a performance perspective, Semrush is like content analyzer, where you can see the clusters of content that's ranking or driving traffic as well to your website. Can be other ways of qualifying the type of content that's working well versus not. So
yeah, I thought of Semrush a minute ago. If you had a question, if your sales team was a dry well at giving you, this happens to people. What are the 80% questions? Like, I don't know. I just talk to people. Does tools or tactics or the Semrush content tools or any of you guys? How do you get that? I think that's hard.
Semrush is always a great place to start, and that's where marketers can start first and maybe bring that information to sales and say, okay, so here's a bunch of questions we found on Semrush. We ran a bunch of keyword reports. Tell me, are these things you're hearing frequently? And then they can start rattling them off. And then also they'll start to brainstorm themselves. Like it might be slow going at first, like really like you're trying to pull answers at them. Like, please just let me help you. Like I want to be able to connect with the audience in a way that's meaningful for you. And it can take a little bit, but usually once you start snowballing, right, it just keeps going. And then the ideas will rattle off faster and faster. A lot of times it's great to get them under the same roof rather than just have a one-on-one with one salesperson, get them in a group with the marketing team together. And then one salesperson, might be hesitant and holding back. But if someone else starts spinning, then that guy's going to want to catch up. And it's going to be competitive because these are salespeople, right? They're going to want to have the best answers. And they're going to start outdoing each other on who can have more questions and who can have better questions.
Get them to compete. What I love most about all of this is that it makes page views and time on page and rankings and bounce rates irrelevant. You are creating content for your most important audience, your current prospect. Especially important for anyone doing B2B lead gen, right? Because there are the people who you may have a proposal out there with, or the people who aren't getting back to you. Can you use this as a way to get follow-up with them? Far, far more important than rankings, I guess, right? Like, is this transcends SEO as in value.
Yeah, because a lot of times, we get clients that we get them to start writing content, and they have that kind of feeling that this is going to go viral. They're going to write some article about HVAC systems and installation processes that's going to catch the web on fire, and they're going to get tons and tons of traffic. And that's just not the case. And it's taking better quality content to get to the top of Google. It's taking longer time. I've written 10,000 word articles that took almost an entire year to make it to the first page. I don't want to sit around and wait an entire year before somebody finally reads that thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could get to someone tomorrow who's asking that question right now. That person could give you money, which is, That
might have been something that I missed on putting on there is, as soon as you hit publish, get that to the salespeople. Either let them know in a one-to-one email, walk down to their office and say, hey, man, I got that content you asked for. Maybe even create an internal newsletter so everyone in the organization knows what marketing is doing right now and say, here's some of the marketing pieces of content we put out, and here's some of the sales-specific content we put out for you guys. Yeah.
We're getting some questions. I think we're sharing everything, but Zada Strategy asks, would you mind sharing the training document, or is it proprietary? Training document. Which one? You had a lot of links in there.
I think that was before I was on, because I saw that comment when I first jumped on. It was about the previous one, I believe. But within my presentation, if you download the slide deck, you can get that spreadsheet that you can use assignment selling yourself, and it'll kind of walk you through how to set it up.
Yeah. I like the example of the Learning Center. Someone else asks about platforms. Apart from the main website, does Kevin prefer to educate customers about using services when it comes to movers and packing services, educational institute? So is there a platform? Is that Learning Center just built using the CMS?
I'm not one of the design guys, so I do know that our team does build learning centers, usually from scratch, to be able to get on. I don't know if there's a good plug-and-play system for it, but maybe there is.
It's content, right? It's just content. Maybe designed a bit differently, maybe with some faceted filters or some search tools.
I think the filters are important too. Being able to segment that stuff to find exactly what you're looking for as quick as possible.
Exactly.
It's like categorizing your blog posts.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and the UX of the place where it lives is far less important. If you're literally putting a link into an email, it's just kind of magical, like the ability of this content to like move the most important needle. We might have already addressed this, but it comes up for me. Good tactics to pull ideas and suggestions from the sales team versus predefined formats, i.e., do you have them explain customer pain points or request another white paper? We got to get this into that. We need to both get this out of their brains and then get it into their sent mail folder. So, Ashley, do you have any ways that you use to collaborate with sales teams on content?
Yeah, so I've learned the hard way that when you work with sales teams and other departments like that, they're just as busy as you are. So make it as simple and easy for them as possible. So I just have a Google Doc of questions, and for the most part, these questions can fit any sales department depending upon the product or service. But of course, I'll add a couple of very unique and specific ones based on what they're selling or what service they're providing. And then I'll send that over to them. And this isn't like a 20-page doc or even 20 questions. This is short, sweet, to the point, giving them the option to contribute information. And I'll send it mass throughout the sales department. Not everybody will fill it out. The people that do fill it out, you'll generally get a mix of people who are very detailed or just short and sweet, sometimes to the point, sometimes not at all to the point. that's when I'll dive in and pick 2 to 3 different people from the sales department or the customer success department and ask them more questions, either call them or meet with them to kind of dive in a little bit deeper and have them actually walk me through the experience. I'll also ask to be shadowed on a sales call, at least 1, if not 2 of them, just so I can kind of hear their processes and hear the reactions of people.
Yeah.
Is that more work? Is that more time? Yes, but it's so worth it in the long run, especially for coming up with content ideas.
Killer. To ride shotgun on the sales call.
Yeah.
I feel like saying riding shotgun is relevant to you because you're sitting in an RV right now. Are you on the road?
I am not on the road. I am parked. I do not webinar and drive.
Good. We have such a short time. Vahe, what would you add to this, or any other questions for Kevin?
Yeah, it's similar straight to Ashley, I guess. If you can't join them on the meeting, then usually they'll have internal meetings and retrospective meetings as well. So just the shadowing there, and just, that's another way two departments can work together. I had a question actually for you, Kevin. Is there, in terms of creating flywheels, that might be some sort of jargon that maybe people might not get a conceptualization, but just something like where they have a system of publishing content. Is that something that organizations should be mindful of as well, or do you think that's just nothing that needs to be that's not too important to put together internally? I guess.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Creating flywheels.
Creating flywheels. Do you think that's more jargon, or do you think that needs to be a content publishing process that needs to happen in order to help with this sales alignment?
Yeah, I think everyone needs a process, right, for writing content. It's always important to establish it. And I think one of the big things, because a lot of the people we train here, they hire writers to their organization that are not experts themselves on it. There are people that usually have a journalism degree or an English degree. I mean, that's how I got my start. I was an English major in college, and I got out, and somehow I got into the world of content marketing with no idea what it was or what kind of business I was working at. But I'm really good at researching, and I'm really good at writing. So you need to have, for the content writers, especially if they're not familiar with the products and services well, they need to have access to the experts. They really do need that input from everyone in the organization, especially anyone customer facing, not just sales, right? So sales are the ones that are on the call with customer most, but someone in customer service. So for example, I was working at a sleep clinic, right? I didn't know anything about sleep apnea or sleep medicine. But I had access to the doctor, so I could talk to the doctor and say, hey, tell me all the things you talk with patients about. He's like, well, with me, they usually ask me, what are some of the symptoms, treatment options, long-term effects, things of that nature. Then the person at the front desk, even the admin, well, how do I schedule one of these things? What actually happens during a sleep study? What am I supposed to bring with me? Accounts receivable payable. They told me, hey, people are like, how much is this thing going to cost me out of pocket? Is my insurance going to cover this? Durable medical equipment technicians are getting asked questions specifically about the equipment. What is a CPAP machine? How's it different than a BiPAP machine or an APAP machine? So by going to all the different experts within the organization, I was able to get a comprehensive list of every question customers were asking.
Mm-hmm. You guys, I wish we had more time. I think this is way more valuable than a lot of people realize. If this is new to you, you just discovered a gold mine, because bottom of funnel content is where the money is. That last link in the chain can't be weak, must be strong. Kevin, where can people find you?
Phillips at impactbnd.com. And I do not know my LinkedIn handle off the top of my head. And no, someone asked, I am not on Twitter. I'm sorry.
No problem at all. We're going to share access to everything. You get all Kevin's slides and ways to reach him. Ashley, where can we find you?
On Twitter at Ashley Mad Hatter or at tophatcontent.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. And Vahe?
Twitter handle Vahe Arabian SEO or stateofdigitalpublishing.com.
All of this, guys, all of the attendees, all of this files, we're wrapping it up in a bow, delivering it to you all at once. The recording of this, the slides, the resources. I secretly took some screenshots from Kevin. I'll confess. Brilliant. It is so much more powerful than people realize. I think this is, I love that we got you in this topic in the day. Thank you guys all for joining us. We will release you now to go back, and feel free to stay online here and watch the rest of the recordings. Coming up now is Sabiha is going to address some COVID-related topics in a crisis management session. We got just another 30 minutes. We keep rolling with 5 hours of content. New panel, new presenter. Thanks again, Kevin. Thank you, Semrush. Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Vahe.